clicking every link.
Hello. I hope we've all recovered from Christmas. Today, as I'm recording this, is Boxing Day. Well, we call it that in Britain anyway, the day after Christmas. And I am greeted on the Daily Telegraph by this dreadful bit of news here. I'm sorry to spoil your Christmas holidays. It says here, Letby expert claimed nurse killed baby despite medics believing it was an infection. Now, you will notice something here, won't you? The Telegraph have put the word expert in scare quotes, which means that in the Telegraph, the idea is that the so-called experts who spoke against Letby during her trial or on other occasions, the Telegraph isn't so certain that they're experts anymore. Now, I don't remember how the Telegraph dealt with this before. I mean, the general consensus at the time was that she was a monster, and I'm quite sure that the Telegraph would have not put the word expert in scare quotes at that time. As time has gone on, we are becoming far less believing of any sort of expert now. So we have to be aware of that as well. The fact that we are more suspicious of people who call themselves experts. So there's that aspect as well. But in this case, I think that more people are getting a lot less certain about the reliability of the conviction Letby got. A baby that Lucy Letby was accused of murdering died from a respiratory infection, according to neonatal experts. And you notice that word isn't in scare quotes. So it looks like the Telegraph was, having a go at one particular person. Letby was present when baby 17 collapsed in February 2016 at the Countess of Chester Hospital, but police never charged her with his death. In November, Dr. Dewey Evans, the prosecution's chief expert at trial, wrote to police saying he believed the former nurse interfered with the child's breathing tube, triggering his deterioration. The infant was taken to Liverpool Women's Hospital, where he died. So Dewey Evans is definitely the one who has been the most certain of Letby's guilt. And I have read that Dr. Evans had a problem in his history for which he felt, for which he was probably not guilty, but for which he felt guilty. And according to one of the articles I read, it seems that this person thought that Dr. Evans is trying to make up for his missing something in previous years. But anyway, yes, he seems very much to be concerned with the guilt. It seems he has much investment in Lucy Letby's guilt. There is another thing. If he was sure she was guilty before, and now maybe he's not so sure, but feels he can't let go out of simple embarrassment. That does happen a lot, however odd that sounds. Medical notes leaked to the Telegraph show now. Why did they say leaked? Why are the notes leaked to the Telegraph? Why aren't they in the public domain? I don't know. I'm guessing here. There are maybe two reasons. The first is somebody in the hospital doesn't want to be known as being on Letby's side, because the orthodoxy is that she's guilty and nobody else in the hospital is guilty of carelessness, of ignoring practices like, for instance, practices that the plumber spoke about, that there was bacteria in the whole environment because of bad plumbing. So it's somebody maybe who doesn't want to embarrass his colleagues or to get the criticism of his or her colleagues. Another possibility is that it's somebody who doesn't like these guys and who deliberately found counter evidence to have a go at them with. Medical notes leaked to the Telegraph show that neonatal specialists in Liverpool believed the baby had died from a respiratory infection, while another prosecution expert queried why the infant had been transferred when he was critically ill. So, well, all we're doing here is showing that the Countess of Chester Hospital was in a state, at least the neonatal department was in a state of confusion, just generally of confusion. And that it looks to me, and it did look for very shortly after Letby had been convicted. I think I made a video saying there was some doubt. And that the problem with doubt is that you have to be of something like this, you have to be convicted beyond all reasonable doubt. Now, one of the comments under the video I'm speaking about now was, well, would you let Letby look after your children? And I said at the time, no, I wouldn't, because there is always that chance. But that chance is not the beyond reasonable doubt. Sorry, the dog's come to comfort me. I think he senses I might be a bit upset. Yeah. The fact is that there are two things at play here. There is a conviction in law and a general suspicion in everyday. The law doesn't deal with general suspicions in everyday. The law deals with beyond reasonable doubt. And I think that considering that the court has found her guilty based on the evidence of Dr. Evans, who admitted that he said she was guilty the first time he read anything. He just read a basic report and said, Letby's guilty. He admitted that. And then he found evidence to suit his original thesis by the looks of things. At least that's how it looks to me. I didn't sit through the 10 months that trial took. I haven't read all the literature. All I can go on is what various experts are now saying about the quality of the evidence against Letby. And as far as I'm concerned, this is not beyond reasonable doubt. Knowing what I do about hospitals and doctors, I am more suspicious of the hospital than I am of Lucy Letby. Consultant paediatrician Dr. John Gibbs from the Countess of Chester also recorded that a post-mortem was not requested since it was felt that baby 17 had probably died due to a respiratory infection complicated by a lung hemorrhage. Well, we've got to remember these were really, really sick children. They were really ill. They'd been born far too early, and there's no way that 100% of premature babies will survive. And, you know, it's a bit of a miracle. One of my granddaughters was born premature, and we were all terribly worried. I mean, she was like that size when she was born. And I was so worried, you know, if she made it of brain damage, blindness, all sorts of awful things. And they do marvellous things now, but it didn't look like the Countess of Chester Hospital was equipped both physically and materially and even organisationally to take that sort of care. Medical notes show that the little boy, who was born by caesarean section at just 31 weeks old, had restricted growth in the womb and weighed less than 1 kilogram when born, an extremely low birth weight. He needed help breathing and showed signs of infection. I mean, he was born dying. If the mother happens to watch this video, I am really sorry to have said that, but that was it, wasn't it? That was a very sick child. And his chances of recovery, I mean, in earlier years, there would have been no chance of recovery at all. They were doing what they could, but it doesn't look like that particular unit could do very much. So he was born at 31 weeks old, restricted growth in the womb, so there was a problem already, weighed less than 1 kilogram, needed help breathing, showed signs of infection. Whether he got that from the Countess of Chester or not, I cannot say. After struggling with various problems in the week after his birth, he stopped breathing several times and needed resuscitation. And then he said that he gave a medical diagnosis for cause of death. And then he said he also suggested the baby might have been smothered. So it looks like Dr. Evans had this on his mind all the time. Since Letby was convicted, dozens of scientists, medics, and Jeremy Hunt, just keep Jeremy Hunt out of this, who was health secretary at the time, have come forward to voice their concerns about how evidence was presented to the jury. The Criminal Cases Review Commission is currently considering evidence presented on her behalf from an international panel of medics who claim poor medical care and natural causes were the reasons for the baby's collapsing. And the fact is, it's perfectly obvious. Apart from Letby, it's quite obvious that the Countess of Chester Hospital was not being well run, and that there were many serious problems which they weren't taking care of. And even if only for that, Letby should not be convicted. We can be as suspicious as we want, but that is not beyond reasonable doubt that you need for a conviction. The poor woman's been branded anyway. I don't know how much of a normal life she could live if they let her out tomorrow. But anyway, yeah, that's it. That's an update on the Letby. I was going to say fiasco. Tragedy. Tragedy for everyone. But particularly for the parents who put their trust in a hospital that in no way could look after their babies. And I suspect that the reason the hospital is sticking so hard to this is because once Letby has been found not guilty, then the only other possibility is the hospital. And we're going to have some parents very annoyed with the hospital. That's going to give them some trouble, isn't it? That's why I'm a bit worried about how the courts are going to approach Letby's conviction, because at least when they've convicted her, that lets the hospital off the hook. And I should think there's quite a bit of pressure to sacrifice her for the sake of the NHS. Well, what do you think? Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.